America's wireless companies, and the National Safety Council.
Anthony the Ant-Man alongside Keith Logan, the Loganator. You were so quiet there. I was waiting for a little feedback from you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, can I ask you a question?
You may.
Look in my eyes. What do you see? The cult of personality?
Yeah, I see him all right.
Oh, man. This is Ringside Rumble Radio. Cheap plug right now. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Ringside Rumble. We've been tweeting a lot more than we have in the past. So,
well, we're working on our social media, rebranding our social media. So that is coming.
That it is. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Ringside Rumble Radio. And we're on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio. The list goes on and on. I mean, we'll be on more stations and platforms in the near future. But right now, those are your top 3 choices to find us. And before break, you seemed a little heated, I'm just going to say. You seemed like you have something to get off your chest. And I'm going to give you the mic right now. I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to chime in when I feel the time is right.
So CM Punk fought this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
This UFC fight against Mike Jackson. And he got his butt handed to him. He said before that he would never wrestle again. He was done with wrestling forever.
Yes.
And that's something that the best in the world wouldn't say.
No.
The best in the world would not leave wrestling like that. Before you got here, I watched CM Punk's WWE, the DVD that came out for him, The Best in the World, and I took a picture of a quote that he said.
Okay.
And he goes, this is while being a part of WWE, this is a part of it. I feel I have a responsibility to the younger wrestlers on the roster, the ones who aren't signed yet, and the future of pro wrestling, which is...
Quotations?
Yes, in caps. As a whole, to help make this place better and to change this place, referring to the WWE, I certainly can't change it by sitting on my couch in Chicago.
Wow.
So that's one thing that he said. And later on, he goes on to say, I'm the kind of person who, if I'm not getting something that I need from somewhere, I don't cry about it. I'm going to go here and or there and find what I need.
Well, that's a bit of a hypocrite.
Well, is it not technically more? That's saying that he's moving on from wrestling forever, and I kind of believe that. I think he's done. If he doesn't show up to Ring of Honor or All In or New Japan and wrestle for them, he's never coming back. I don't think he's coming back to the WWE. That part of his life is over forever, and it's just sad because to me, I really wanted him to come back. I'm selfish. I'm a selfish CM Punk fan.
Well, just go back quickly. Did you watch the fight at all, first of all?
I watched bits and pieces.
See,
I couldn't watch the whole thing.
See, I watched the condensed version, I guess you could say, of the UFC fight between him and Mr. Mike Jackson. So, watching this fight, to me, it looked like some amateur right off the street. I got to give him credit where it's due. Not easy going into MMA and saying, you know what, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight, and I'm just going to come out and start fighting. But you need to have been trained in some years ago, some aspect of either martial arts, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, whatever. And unfortunately, this is not a knock to CM Punk, but unfortunately, he was always a wrestler. And wrestler, I don't mean an NCAA Division I champion. I don't mean an Olympic gold champion. I mean a wrestler where he was in his backyard doing wrestling at the age, I believe, of 15 he started wrestling. And to me, that's not somewhere where your background is going to move over and it's not going to shift, and then you're instantaneously going to be this big MMA star.
I mean, he was training with the Gracies and all that stuff.
A lot of these fighters have been training since they were in high school.
Right.
I mean, people are going to say, well, wrestlers have crossed over before. Okay. One wrestler that comes to mind that crossed over before, he was in the WWE, and then he was like, you know what? F you guys, I'm done with you, I'm moving on, I'm going to MMA. That guy is Brock Lesnar. And as you know, I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan. I've been a fan with him since he started in the WWE back in 2003. But he had that wrestling background for umpteen years. In high school, in college, he was a wrestler. And he used that to his advantage to move and switch over to MMA using his wrestling skills, gaining that ground and pound style, where he successfully moved over to MMA in the UFC and won the heavyweight title after, I believe it was his second fight in the UFC. So when people say, oh, well, you have Brock Lesnar, he did it, anybody can do it. No, not anybody can do it. You need to have that background.
I do believe that CM Punk joined the UFC because he has a love for MMA, and he's always wanted to do it, and he really put his heart and effort into being an MMA fighter. But don't tell me that he did not do a lot of this for money.
Oh, I'm not telling you.
The UFC gave him a lot of money. They invested a lot of money because he's a name, and because Brock Lesnar, like you said, went in there and did his business, they expected him to do the same thing as well. And that didn't work.
No.
He could have loved MMA and went and started at the bottom at some of these little organizations and worked his way up to being a top fighter.
Unfortunately, he was pushed too fast.
That's Dana White's fault.
Oh, yeah. I remember when he, I forget what UFC it was, but he comes out and says, well, I've just signed and I'm going to be an MMA fighter. Social media went crazy. You had the hardcore UFC fans and MMA fans saying, you know what, this is a joke. Dana White is a joke, which I would have to agree with them 100%. Now, a lot of times, the hardcore MMA fans are not wrestling fans. They basically bash us wrestling fans saying, well, it's not real, it's all scripted, it's this, it's that. Okay, we get it.
That's fine, but let's see them draw as much money as WrestleMania did.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? A lot of the times these UFC fights, they build, and then the fighter can't fight because he's on steroids, or
he can't make
or
weight.
He got hurt, or he can't make weight, so they cancel the fight, and they got to reschedule this, they got to reschedule that, and now the top people that they had there, which was Ronda Rousey. Oh, where is she right now? Oh, she's in the WWE. Brock Lesnar, WWE.
And
Conor McGregor,
he's suspended.
soon enough, he'll be in the WWE. He's suspended right now, but that's as far as I want to get into with CM Punk in the UFC, because that career is over. Dana White said he's not even going to be able to fight another one anymore, and that guy, I think, is not fighting either anymore after this, Mike Jackson. So.
No, because apparently there's an article in I believe it was the New York Post, how Dana White was basically pissed off, like, why didn't you finish the fight quick enough? You're busy toying with him and throwing these showboaty type punches, and he could have just finished him with a few elbows, but they just kept drawing it on and on. I guess he figured, oh, well, let's see if he can come back. Apparently he didn't have much. But stepping away from UFC, because we now know whatever anybody wants to say, I mean, CM Punk's MMA career, I think, is over. Let's both agree on that, correct?
Right.
So, I know you think his days are done wrestling, but do you honestly think there's a slight chance he will come to some other promotion, maybe be, I don't know, a commentator, maybe be enforcer, commissioner, something of that sort, and basically help whoever needs that help to push them to the next level?
I don't know.
Because
I got mixed feelings from him, because one time he said, right after the trial, which him and Colt Cabana won, he said that he wasn't getting any offers about wrestling. Then the next day, I'm never going to wrestle again. I haven't been watching. I haven't been doing this. I do believe him, but, you know, how many times have wrestlers retired and come back? And he even mentioned that. Like, hell, people are going to think I'm going to come back because I'm a wrestler, and wrestlers do that. I don't know what to think about CM Punk anymore. I seriously loved him as a wrestler. Huge fan of him, but there has to be some criticism to him. And
of course.
Whether he likes it or not, when you call yourself the best in the world and you leave the way you did, fine, leave the WWE. Don't be angry with them. That's fine. You won your lawsuit. It's over. Your WWE career's over. But when you're seeing what these guys are doing, like Cody and the Young Bucks and Jericho, when you see what they're doing, how can you not be somewhat intrigued? Because
he's supposed to be at All In. He's supposed to be signing autographs. Isn't there a certain amount of numbers?
Right. He's technically not going to be at All In. He's going to be a part of the weekend at All In at Pro Wrestling Tees signing autographs. But, you know, when you call yourself the best in the world, they don't give up.
No.
LeBron James is the best in the world at basketball, but he's lost 6 titles. You don't see him giving up after losing to teams that have been put together with super squads. You don't see him giving up.
He's even played with a broken hand.
And now It brings me back to, let's go back, because I like to go back in time and take a look back. Let's look at the feud between CM Punk and Chris Jericho. Okay. The best in the world versus the best in the world at what he does. And we believed everything. We believed that CM Punk was the best in the world. He did that pipe bomb a few months back. A pipe bomb that was kind of the state of the union of wrestling.
And let me tell you, when that pipe bomb happened, I don't know about you, but I got excited again.
Right. You have to give him credit because he awoke in the wrestling fan. If he didn't do that, would we be clamoring over Daniel Bryan? Would we be as upset as we are at the landscape of the WWE?
No.
Would we be watching Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and have this vested interest into New Japan? No, CM Punk kind of got that out.
And if you remember,
he made us realize.
And I don't know if you remember when he blew that kiss to Vince McMahon when he was climbing over the barricade. He made you believe that he was taking that title and he was not coming back and he was going to Ring of Honor. He was going to some other promotion to defend that title. And you actually thought it was going to happen. And it kind of made me reminisce the whole Monday Night Wars when you had guys from WCW leaving. You had Medusa taking the title and throwing it in the trash basket. Eric Bischoff live on WCW Nitro. I mean, storylines were endless that could have happened with this whole thing. And it just made you so excited that the possibility that CM Punk was going to leave WWE and go somewhere else and wrestle, I'm getting excited right now talking about it.
Well, I believe that the best in the world was better than the best in the world at what he did. CM Punk was better than Chris Jericho. But I'm mistaken, because for a guy like Chris Jericho, who is able every time he leaves, comes back to WWE, anytime he goes to New Japan Pro Wrestling or shows up somewhere else, we never know, he might be at Impact. To me, that man right there, Chris Jericho, is the best in the world.
I would take it one step further. I mean, I would say in this era, past the Attitude Era, I would make him a GOAT.
He is a GOAT.
Let me give you a quick laundry list. When he debuted, Y2J, the Millennium, you were wondering who this person was. This was pre-internet. You had no idea why these little things were coming on the Titantron every Monday Night Raw, every time we'd see this Y2J clock countdown. And then finally, when he made his debut on Monday Night Raw, everybody was like, wow, Y2J is here. Throughout the time, he kind of sputtered a little bit. He was down in the mid-card. But then, all of a sudden, he beat The Rock and he beat Stone Cold the same night to become the WWE Undisputed Champion. That took his platform and made him shoot so high, skyrocketed him. And then he went away. Then he came back in the Ruthless Era. And then
comes back with short hair. Changes up his
Yes.
gimmick and wears a suit.
Yes,
And
I
is
heard.
that kind of corporate bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves, comes back again.
Was that the jacket then? Or
It was the jacket. It was the sparkly jacket. Leaves, comes back again, and does the list of Jericho. And had probably the best year between him and Kevin Owens, the friendship episode.